If you do want to speak during the public hearing or the public input, please sign your name on the appropriate sheet on the side table. I call this meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. on September 16, 2025. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Good afternoon, everyone. Just a couple of ground rules. Note the fire exits to my right, your left. The restrooms are in the hall. The agendas are on the table. As I said earlier, please sign in if you wish to speak at either the public input portion or the public hearing. The public input, the town code allows for for a set of time, so the time is 3 minutes. Madam Clerk will keep the time. Step up to the lectern. The meeting is videotaped or broadcast. So please speak into the mic, give your name and your address where you live, and then proceed. Personal attacks are not allowed. Please direct all comments to the chair. All speakers must be respectful. Statements made or the speaker's opinion for the people at home and here. I urge you to do your research on your own. Presenters appear as guests of the chairman. When we have presenters, they tend to educate the town board, or provide information that all of us need. Madam Clerk, will you please read the roll?
Supervisor Evans.
Here.
Councilwoman Cunningham.
Here.
Councilman Malone.
Present.
Councilmember Perticone.
Here.
Deputy Supervisor.
Here.
Attorney for the town.
Here.
Just a couple of comments from the supervisor. The highlight of this week was sponsoring the Ukrainian delegation from the 2025 Open Road delegation to discuss how the people of Ukraine are treating their veterans and trying to integrate them back into society. I was very impressed with the amount of support as a veteran, as a combat veteran. I was very impressed with the amount of support that they do give their veterans, especially while they're still fighting a war. I want to thank Tamara Denishenko, Rakhmadan, and all the host families that sponsored the guests from Ukraine. And a very special shout out to our sister cities, Councilwoman Lilia Matvichuk, if I pronounced that correctly. I'm still learning Ukrainian. I'm doing a very bad job at it. We're also in the budget season right now. I want to take a few minutes just to briefly describe the challenge that we have in front of us. Last year, we were able to raise our lowest paid workers to living wage. And at least for the library, what that did was stop the attrition rate of people looking for higher paid jobs. But what it also did was compress wages for the middle and the upper end income. So one of our challenges is to relieve that compression without too much burden on the taxpayer. These are rough estimates, just so that everyone can be aware of what I and the town board will be doing for the next 2 months. There's about a $27 million ask, but we have a levy of about $20 million. So that naturally involves cuts, and we're trying not to cut services or personnel. We have a very healthy general fund, and we must reduce the amount of tax stabilization withdrawals that come out of that general fund every year. And that's not for us now. that's looking forward 5 and 10 years down the road when the property values will not be as high as they are. So the imbalance of our funds are not anyone's fault, not any one person's fault, not any one time's fault. It's just simply what is accumulated over time as inflation goes up and as the economic environment has changed. But we have to start doing things now to make sure that in 10 years from now things are healthy. Being the second largest town, we invest in what we think is important, and what's important in the Rhinelacoit is our education. So we have two great education systems that I wouldn't change. That's where most of our tax dollars go. About 13 or 14% of our tax dollars actually go to run the town. We also, being the second largest town, have a great police department and a great DPW. Those are also our two biggest. So we have to manage making sure that they have the resources they need without to be effective and efficient for the town. The previous town boards have done a great job managing our debt to revenue ratio, and I think we're going to still continue doing that. So as we start, I just want to let everyone know where we're at, so that everyone can be on the same page. And if you have any ideas, supervisor@irondequite.com. Madam Clerk, it appears that we have 3 scheduled public hearings for tonight. One scheduled public hearing tonight.
That is correct for 7:35.
Okay, we have no proclamations or presentations. We'll now move on to the public input portion. Okay, it appears that we have no one signed up for the public input portion. Is there anyone here who did not get a chance to sign up for public input? Seeing none, Madam Comptroller, we have a financial report.
Yes, thank you. The August 31st financial results for the town. The total expenses are $29,378,000, or 67.2% of budget, which is slightly higher than the 66.7% of the year that has elapsed. Total expenses break down as follows. Actual expenses, $26,216,000, and encumbrances, $3,162,000. The encumbrances are 7.2% of budget as departments continue to commit to services and supplies for the remainder of the year. General fund expenses are on par with the budget at 66.3%, or $18,729,000. The split here is actual expenditures, $17,287,000, and encumbered expenses, $1,442,000. Incorporated within the general fund expenses are legal expenses, townwide street lighting, and the EMS contract. Jointly, the highway fund's expenses are greater than the percentage of the year that has elapsed at 87.4%, or $5,299,000. These costs are traditionally driven by salt, fuel, roadwork, and paving services and materials such as oil and stoning and asphalt. Highway 1 is currently realizing sizable roadwork and paving expenditures, as well as paving material encumbrances. Expenditures in the library fund are 62.8% of budget at $1,829,000. Sewer fund expenses of $2,238,000 equate to 53.1% of budget. Expenses in the stormwater drainage fund total $360,000, or 36.6% of budget. Expenses excluding encumbrances for the town as well as the 3 major funds are less than the percent of the year that has elapsed. 66.7% of the year has elapsed, and the expenditures percentage exclusive of encumbrances for the town is 60%. The general fund is 61.2%. Sewer fund, 45.3%, and the collective highway funds are at 65.2%. Total general fund revenue is $20,438,000, representing 74.3% of budget. Real estate taxes of $13,011,000 have been collected. Payments in lieu of taxes equal 105.9% of budget at $301,000. 5 months of sales tax revenue of $2,904,000 or 41.5% of budget have been received. Other major revenue items such as aid and incentives for municipalities, franchise cable TV revenue, and the remaining mortgage tax are expected later this year. Regarding the entire town, $33,577,000 or 78.7% of revenue and appropriated fund balance have been received to date. At the end of August, the library has received $2,856,000 or 98.1% of its budgeted revenue. 79.1% or $4,729,000 is in for the highway funds. Revenue received in the sewer fund is $3,828,000 or 96.9% of budget. And the stormwater drainage has recorded $973,000 of revenue at 99% of budget. This concludes the financial report for August 2025.
Thank you, Madam Comptroller. May I have a motion to adopt the financial report?
Move it.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any corrections, comments, or questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the financial report is adopted. Madam Clerk, we have a couple of minutes to approve.
Approval of the August 11th, 2025 workshop town board meeting minutes.
May I have a motion?
Moved.
May I have a second? Second. Any questions, comments, or revisions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the resolution is correction. The minutes are adopted. Madam Clerk?
Approval of the August 19th, 2025 regular town board meeting minutes.
May I have a motion?
Moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any questions, comments, or revisions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the minutes are adopted. Madam Clerk, we have several items for board action. Would you please read the first one?
Item number 1, authorizing the reappointment of the town assessor.
May I have a motion to adopt?
Moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have an explanation?
Thank you. The term for all appointed assessors in New York State expires at the end of September 2025. We are required to appoint effective October 1st, 2025 for a 6-year term. And we would like to continue employing Mr. Daniel Stanford as our town assessor.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Dan, I'll go first. I heard that you've been doing a great job. Thanks for stepping into a very difficult situation, and I appreciate having you here and look forward to working with you. Any other questions or comments?
Thank you for your service.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay, seeing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk?
Authorizing the appointment of a working foreman.
May I have a motion to adopt? Motion. May I have a second?
Second.
May I have an explanation?
Thank you. Due to her retirement, there is a vacancy in the Department of Public Works and the Sanitation Division for a working foreman. We did post this according to the collective bargaining agreement requirements. We collected the applications, turned over all qualified individuals to the department. They interviewed 5 internal candidates for promotion, and the interview committee has recommended Edward Jake Zelenchek to fill this position.
Thank you. Is Edward here? Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Any questions or comments? I do want to say, Edward, I really appreciate getting to know you during my term, and I'm happy to do the next part of this. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Would you like to say anything?
Congr-
Okay,
Congratulations.
thank you. Congratulations.
That's good.
Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 3, authorizing the 2025 tax levies.
May I have a motion to adopt?
Moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have an explanation?
Yes, thank you. This is our annual assessment of unpaid property maintenance fees that will be assigned to the tax roll.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? The resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk?
Item number 4, authorizing the use of fund balance for the purchase of 4 sets of personal protective equipment to be used by the Fire Marshal's Office.
May I have a motion to adopt? May I have a second?
Second.
May I have an explanation?
Yes, thank you. This would properly outfit our emergency response personnel with appropriate equipment for the job that they're being asked to do. Just as a background, currently they're utilizing hand-me-down equipment from our fire districts in town, which we appreciate because it came at no cost. However, it is laden with carcinogens that are more than 10 years old. I'd like them to have the appropriate equipment and not have to worry about that as a situation. The good news is our vendor that we've chosen is going to give us 2025 state contract pricing before the 2026 pricing goes into effect, so that should save us a pretty significant amount of money on each set.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk?
Item number 5, authorizing capital lease financing agreement with M&T Bank for equipment for the Bureau of Public Works.
May I have a motion to adopt?
Moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have an explanation?
Thank you. This resolution would authorize executing an agreement with M&T Bank for a capital lease for a 5-year term for the purchase of 3 dump trucks and 1 self-loading brush truck. All of these purchases were approved in either 22 or 23. We are just now receiving the equipment.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I think I mentioned before, Aaron, is this replacement of existing equipment that's outdated? Okay, thank you.
When we approve these vehicles, we will auction or keep the old one too.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 6, authorizing the amendment to the 2025 library budget.
May I have a motion to adopt?
I'll move it.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have an explanation?
Thank you. This would authorize the use of fund balance in the amount of $59,002 from the library fund. The library has secured a grant to make improvements to the children's area. A portion of this is the match to the grant, and a portion is a loan to the project until the funding is received.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
This is a really exciting project. The library board has been talking about this for quite a while and planning for this. Our library's 10 years old, and it's always nice to have some updates. And they're using grant money, which is really it's a savings to the town. So I think this is a really important improvement on behalf of our children.
And Madam Councilman, you just reminded me, this is the 10th year anniversary of the library, so that is a huge thing. I know that my kids wouldn't be where they are now without the library. With that,
I just wanted to add also that we did receive a presentation on the entire project and the funding at the workshop to our satisfaction.
and you designed the library, right?
I did, yes, I did.
Cool. All right. So, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk?
Item number 7, authorizing attendance to the New York Women in Law Enforcement 14th Annual Training Conference.
Motion to adopt?
Moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have an explanation?
Yes, sir. This conference will be held in Syracuse, New York. Training conference will include segments on leadership, health and wellness, DCJS. Anticipated topics will include legal updates, collective bargaining, and union representation, strength and sisterhood, and qualities of women and life after law enforcement.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I think this is a really important conference, supporting women in our law enforcement, and certainly encourages more women to go into the police force. So thank you for supporting our officers and by this training.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk?
Item number 8, authorizing the attendance to the utilizing vehicle data to enhance investigations course.
Motion to adopt?
Moved.
May I have a second?
Second?
May I have an explanation?
Yes, sir. It's a 2-day course being hosted by the Crease Police Department. Topics covered in this training: search warrant writing for vehicles, vehicle data, live tracking on vehicle data, internet resources for vehicle data, stored infotainment system data, utilizing cellular data from vehicles, and everything else that goes into electronic investigations, which everything is these days.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk?
Item number 9, authorizing attendance to group crisis intervention course.
Motion to adopt?
Moved.
May I have a second?
Second?
May I have an explanation?
Yes, I'd like to send 2 officers to this 2-day training in Depew, New York. 2-day course, increase awareness on concepts relevant to crisis intervention, along with disaster mental health intervention, to understand the nature and importance of incident assessment and strategic intervention planning, crisis management briefings, diffusing crisis interventions, and etc.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk?
Item number 10, authorizing the supervisor to sign supplemental agreement number 2 for New York State Snow and Ice 2024-2025 season.
Motion to adopt?
Moved.
May I have a second? May I have an explanation?
Yes, this resolution would amend our agreement with the New York State for our snow and ice on Empire Boulevard. As you maybe recall, our winter last year went over the estimate that they used to reimburse us. So to give us the rest of the money, we have to execute this agreement.
Any questions or comments? I do have one question. Last year, there was a concern about running out of salt, et cetera. How are we looking at for this year?
We're looking good. We are starting to look at stockpiling for this year, and we also, we'll be working with the other towns. We never ran out last year, and we will continue to work with the vendors and our other town partners to make sure that we're being good stewards.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? The resolution is adopted. We still have about 10 minutes before the start of the public hearing. Do you want to explain the, as we move into the next portion, the changes that you made in the document, Mr. Attorney?
I can do that. I don't have my full notes with me, but we did a couple of things. Listened to all of the comments from the public on both sides of the issue. Gave some consideration to balancing all of the interests that that were presented, and we did a couple things. We provided for a total number of short-term rental permits, the greater of 150 or whatever the number is that are applications in the first 90 days after the local law becomes effective. And so just one point of clarification on that. Excuse me. the resolution, if it's adopted tonight, where we included a provision in the resolution to ask the clerk to hold on to the resolution before filing it with the Secretary of State for at least 30 days. And that, because it's effective once it's filed with the Secretary of State. The reason why we included that provision would be to enable the town to, spin up all that needs to be done to operate the program, to administer the permit application process and make sure we have everything in place, software, fees, all of that. The other major changes we made, one of the requirements in the earlier draft was the 500 feet of separation. We kept that in for future applications, a new permit requirement that you have to be 500 feet from the nearest short-term rental. However, given that there are a number of existing properties that are less than 500 feet, we included a mechanism that if you can demonstrate that you were operating a short-term rental at the time that the moratorium went into effect, then that, that would be an exception to that 500-foot rule. But then everybody who applies after would have to comply with that. We added some due process requirements for some of the enforcement procedures to require at least an opportunity to be heard before any fines are imposed, tying out to any appeals with the Zoning Board of Appeals. And I think those were the major points. We made a couple other minor points, but Mr. Wayner, is there anything else that you can think of?
I mean, one thing we did listen to residents and short-term rental operators about the number of occupants within the premises. We had a stipulation of 2 per bedroom, but we have now maintained that, but added a +2 to the occupancy level of the short-term rental. So it's 2 per bedroom +2.
I think another thing that just occurred to me when you mentioned that, we also clarified the noise requirements. We didn't want to end up in a situation where, a stray random noise exceeding the decibel limit, results in a complaint and, a violation. So we included a provision here that it's really got to be more sustained. We picked 10 minutes, if there's, exceeding the noise requirement for 10 minutes, that's when you get into a violation during the quiet hours.
Reason being is we don't want someone out there playing cornhole or euchre to, yell euchre or, throw a bag through a hole and go yay and have that be the level and extent of what a noise criteria might be. What we want is to have that an endured noise, and a noise that's enduring, something that's ongoing, for a duration that we think is reasonable. If people are playing loud music or who knows, revving engines or something, I don't know, but we felt like that was a reasonable amount of time for a complaint to be instituted.
Another change that we made that's relatively minor is we changed the hours for quiet hours to go from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. That's to make it sync with the existing noise ordinance in the town so that there wouldn't be any inconsistency there. And I think that's the major changes that were made.
Anything else anyone would like to add while we basically wait for 5 minutes?
Stall.
Stall for 5 minutes.
I think it might be important to mention that we changed the rental shall be a minimum of 2 consecutive days and not 3. It might be pertinent too.
Right, that's another one. Yep. There was a question raised also about, when we refer to entities owning, I think it already included the different types of entities, but to be sure that we're clear, we included partnerships as well as corporations and LLCs. I think that's it.
I mean, not to over-explain, but as it relates to the 500-foot distance, we did do a lot of consideration in that regard, and we heard a lot of testimony from people that are current short-term rental owners, as well as people that, are desirous of having the density of these areas go down, but we just had a difficult time of people that had been permitted or existed before the ban, or before the moratorium, on short-term rentals to outright, take away a right or, that they had in existence before we looked at this legislation. And, I mean, we do feel like the law has a number of areas where people, if they're bad actors or bad performers, that they will be able to be fined and then subsequently potentially lose their permit to operate the short-term rental. And we feel like, the people that are having problems with short-term rentals in their neighborhood, this will be the mechanism now in writing where we have enforceable actions against, the bad actors in the short-term rental market. So it is pretty well stipulated what a good operator is and what a bad operator is, and hopefully we'll be able to take care of it that way.
There were some changes also at the state level. There was an initial law that was passed that requires, that dealt with the registration system for short-term rentals. And through a series of chapter amendments, they modified that, and those, I think, become effective later this month. We looked at those to make sure that our local law is consistent with those requirements and not running afoul of those requirements. It's important to note, too, as Mr. Wayner mentions, the 500-foot issue and the concern about, how do you choose between some that are close together? And, really there's a potential issue under, the 14th Amendment due process clause. How do you, if somebody's invested a lot of money in it and, are you running afoul of that? And we don't really want to expose the town to liability for that.
Being that there were no regulations in the past, I mean, a foul is kind of
Right.
a very difficult term to define.
I mean, I don't know how the courts would determine that, but I'd rather let that be some other town's case rather than ours. So we really tried to balance all of the competing concerns. I know some people aren't going to be happy. Maybe nobody's going to be happy, and I don't know. But we really tried to hear the comments, and I know the board gave some real thoughtful consideration to how we put this together. Did we do it? Almost.
Couple more minutes.
I think the clock is 35.
Can I ask the clerk, Madam Clerk, did I give you this resolution in Word or in PDF? Do you know?
It was in Word, but I changed it to a PDF document.
Okay, because I don't know if I needed to revise those couple of items that we talked about, or if you can do it. So
I'll make sure they get revised. I wasn't able to until I got.
we need to add the line about who's, town board member offering the motion and moving its adoption. I don't know why I missed that. And then, of course, the two wrong dates. That brings us to,
Silly question. Do I gavel in the,
well, technically the public hearing is still open, so you can open it up again as a continuation of the public hearing that was started at the last meeting.
right, this is a continuation of, this is a continuation of the public hearing that was open, that we kept open. Just to bring everyone up to speed, Madam Clerk, can you read the matter at hand?
On the matter of a proposed local law to amend Town Code Chapter 235 regarding short-term rentals.
We're gonna forego the explanation. I think we've given a pretty good pre-explanation. Okay, we have several people sign up to speak. Helen Elam,
Helen Elam, 4879 Culver Road, Seabreeze Beach.
Thank you.
Thank you Supervisor Evans and the town board members for allowing me to speak. I've spoken in the past and I'm going to speak again. Please don't vote on this. It needs some serious revisions. I know you listened to both sides, but I think you were listening more to the business SDR owners than the residents. So let me just state one thing, and I went through your amendment very thoroughly. So the first page, your purpose of this law, I won't read the whole thing, but I'm going to highlight Section 1, purpose. These regulations allow for a maximum number of short-term rental permits that are not transferable and gradually reduce in number over time. This is intended to promote permanent owner-occupied or long-term rental housing within the town. So my biggest concern, and we expressed this before, is that you're allowing LLCs and business people to take over, and you're allowing them to transfer these permits. So this is in total conflict. So I think legally, you got to start over. You're contradicting yourself here. Can you explain that?
I don't think it allows for transfer.
Yes, it does. Look at it's the statement, required permits, section C. Statement regarding LLCs. It says that, I don't have it here with me because I made a lot of notes, but you're allowing LLCs, whatever you call it, those businesses to transfer their permits if they choose to sell their property. Whereas another short-term rental person owning their house, they cannot do that.
Actually, just a point of clarification on that. So what we're trying to do is normally if you are an LLC and you can change members within the LLC and the LLC owns the permit, right? So what we're trying to do here is saying if you have an internal transfer, that counts as a transfer of the permit. And then the way this chapter reads, if you're going to transfer the permit, you got to apply for a new permit.
But it doesn't say internal. It just it seems kind of vague. It makes it sound like if they decide, that LLC decides to sell the property, that permit transfers to the new owner.
It will not.
Okay. Well, that's a relief, but it's still, we would just prefer not to have LLCs as business because they're not vested. They're not vested in our community. They're just invested in their pockets, really. So that we're going back to this town community for a lifetime. Like whose lifetime? The other issue is the 500 feet. And how can it be that, why are you allowing grandfathering in of short-term rental permits that were made prior to December 19th, 2023? So you're saying, oh, well, those people, it's okay and everything, and they can go ahead and, I get, they applied and everything, or did they? I bet there's some people that never applied because you didn't have regulations in the town for short-term rentals at the time. They just went in willy-nilly. So, for example, we have a neighbor who's been there 60 years. He has a short-term rental on both sides of his property. How do the short-term rental people have jurisdiction over the residents? The residents' rights should supersede short-term rental owners.
And I agree with that perspective. One of the things that I was interested in is no grandfathering at all. That we start fresh with a new law and a new focus forward. But thanks very much for your input.
Okay, thank you.
Next person to speak is Ben.
How's it going, lads, ladies? Yeah. Ben Mockantilla, 4879 Culver Road. Again, down at Seabreeze. Pretty much sum up the same concerns. My main concern is the LLCs, right? We are a neighborhood. I've lived there 25 years. My neighbor has lived there 45 years. We live down beside Marges on Seabreeze Beach. Our houses are only 30 feet wide on average. So with 30 feet, right, I can have like, what if I have 5 short-term rentals on either side of me? It means that when I come out in the morning, I'm going to have 120 people out there on a weekend, within 90 feet. And there are no fences, there's no demarcation between properties. So half of these people are on my property. They want to light fires at night. There's no wood provided for them. And they don't want to go and get it, so they just come and take mine. It's a real problem for us. There are some people who operate short-term rentals where I live, and they're great. They give you their phone number. They say, call me within half an hour. I'll be there. I'll take care of it. And then that's only one, and that person is here tonight. But the others, I don't know who they are. I don't have their phone numbers. When there's an issue, when there's a fire, when there's 20 people getting drunk and going crazy at 11 o'clock at night, I don't know who to call. You know, there's nobody. I don't have a phone number for them. Okay, that's one of the issues, is that the 500 feet, it took years for this committee, or, you know, you guys, to come up with that. And then in 2 weeks, it's gone. It's like somebody came out of the woodwork and said, hey guys, the 500 feet is really going to affect us. You better kill it. And you did. You killed it. We were so excited that finally, you know, of course there can be short-term rentals, and there'd be a few, and it wouldn't be too many. Now they can be everywhere. Like, as my wife said, this is my wife that spoke before him. You know, one of our neighbors, he's got one on either side. His house is 30 feet wide. He comes out every day. He's got people everywhere, all the time. This is not fair to us. Yeah. So this grandfathering, okay, when people apply and you think, okay, they've applied and they've done everything correctly and they've got the 500 feet, sure, go ahead and have your short-term rental. Do it properly. But you've also made another mistake that I believe is terrible, in that you have given the rights to LLCs, to businesses, over the rights of the neighbors. If my neighbor has a short-term rental and he wants to sell the house, he cannot pass it on. So in other words, he cannot make money out of the fact that he was already making money. But an LLC, oh sure, I know you tried to explain that, but the way it's written doesn't explain what you said. So it needs to be, I'm saying, don't vote. Don't vote on this. Give us time, you know, to talk more and see can we do better. All right? Thanks for listening. Sorry about going over the time, but
That's
I'm
okay.
upset.
What I forgot to say is that if you do have more information over the 3 minutes, you can present that to writing to the clerk, and they will distribute to the town board.
All right.
Could I just ask the attorney a question? Can an LLC own a private residence?
Yes.
Can a partnership own a private residence? Can a corporation own a private residence?
Yes.
See, and
I think you could run into a problem, I think, if you tried to restrict that.
And I think what I hear the people are saying is that you can change owners in an LLC and a PLC or a family limited partnership or any of the limited partnerships. I think it's
So ordinarily, if you were to do that, so let's say an entity owns a property, okay? They could transfer ownership within that property, within that entity, and, you know, and it would still be owned by that entity. But what this says is, for the purposes of this chapter, if you do that, we consider that a transfer. And the first sentence of that says, short-term rental permit is not transferable to a new owner. So that's kind of the purpose of why we said it that way, to say, because we wanted to stop people from kind of doing the end run around these requirements, we didn't want to give an incentive to an entity over an individual.
So you're saying if the partners in an LLC change, that revokes the right to owner, that's what the intention of this right.
program.
So what the people are saying out there that we're allowing them to change ownership is incorrect. That if the owners of an LLC change, the permit is revoked for that short-term rental.
It's considered a transfer.
Right.
This
but we don't have any mechanism to track who owns an LLC yet.
Yes, I think we do. We have the software now enabled and,
Require them to tell us.
right, and they require us to tell them. And phase two of this is investing in the software which tracks the ownership of short-term rentals. It controls the permitting and it, and monitors, the advent of any illicit or pseudo unlicensed or unpermitted short-term rental is our intention. Should this be enacted?
I'm getting flashbacks to my estate planning days. Is an LLC considered a private corporation because private corporations don't have responsibility to say who owns them?
It's not a corporation, it's a limited liability company.
I know, but I think their ownership falls under a private corporation, especially if that corporation, that LLC is formed outside of New York.
So all of those entities, you wouldn't ordinarily have the right to get the information. But our code requires as a part of our application process that they have to tell us who are the owners.
But there's no law that says they have to. We can have a local, we can have a local ordinance.
If we pass this law, it does.
This is a local law, it has the same effect as like a state.
But then doesn't federal law trump local law?
Federal law doesn't govern that aspect of those entities.
Okay.
It would be state law.
All right. Shuba? Always pronounce that wrong.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jen Suba. I live at 425 Rock Beach Road and 72 Tryon Park. I want to sincerely thank you all for listening to the community input and passing the majority of the balanced alternatives to the proposal. Your decisions recognize both the community concerns as well as contributions of responsible hosts, and we thank you. As a law-abiding citizen and taxpayer, we appreciate the fairness and best practices that guided your decisions. The balanced outcome helped protect neighborhoods' character while still supporting local tourism, small business, and town's tax base. That said, I'm hopeful that you consider revisiting the outdoor noise monitoring requirement. There's several reasons for that. I think indoor is fine, but it's really hard to control outdoor noises when you have a neighborhood. I know mine alone, there are fireworks going off all hours of the night, not just around 4th of July. Barking dogs. My neighbors have children who are very loud. So I don't know how that's going to be monitored and be fairly and accurately monitored to where the noise is coming from. So I have some concerns about the outdoor monitoring system. I already have an indoor monitoring system, and I think that's very reasonable. But the outdoor, I don't see how that can barely work. So that said, I just again want to thank you so much for listening to us, and I hope you consider the outdoor noise monitoring tool. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Thank you. Next person is Ms. Marcia Wright.
Marcia Enright, 75 Clay Avenue. I don't know if the board, and it doesn't seem the board realizes, we all came here a year and a half ago or 3 years ago. We weren't complaining and making comment about the good operators. There are great ones out there who don't make other people's lives hell. What we're trying to get rid of is the bad one. And there's nothing within this that does this. We have to get rid of the bad host. It's not allowed. You cannot grandfather anything in. Everybody should have to apply. I don't care if they've got a permit now. If they've got a permit now, it's not for a short-term rental. It's just for a rental, which they will be able to use it as a rental if you deny them. nobody has a permit for a short-term rental. Everybody's got to apply for the short-term rental. Everybody should fall under the 500 feet, or you got discrimination between you can, you can't. You want a discrimination suit? That's not fair to anybody. Everybody has to start on the same playing field. You've also changed from 50 to 150. That's a pretty big jump. This now allows 40 in each quadrant of your town. How are you going to police that many? That's way too many to start with. Start with a smaller number, review it in a year or two. The jump from 50 to 150 is way too many. The names and addresses of all owners and operators should be posted online so that everybody knows who they are and where they are. The occupancy that you mentioned, that should go to how many people are allowed on the premises, not just how many people are allowed to sleep there. That's going to stop big crowds right there. You can sleep 8, but all you can have on the premises is the 12 that you stated. I can go along with that. And the insurance issue you brought up, obviously. But you're missing the point that you have not demanded a third-party notification to this town. You have the right to ask for it. If people have comp and disability and I got somebody working in your property, I got to prove to you it's a protection for the town. Third-party notification of their insurance. If their insurance lapses, you're notified immediately by the insurance company. There's another option. You can put this back on moratorium. You can put it up for a proposition in next year's election and let the people vote on it again. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from Ms. Enright?
Just to clarify, everyone that wants a short-term rental has to reapply. And the thing that we're allowing consideration of is grandfathering as it relates to the 500-foot barrier. So everyone that wants a short-term rental has to apply for the right to have that short-term rental. What they have to do is prove to the town that that short-term rental either, which some people did, register within our rental registry with the, I understand that it was vague references to whether it's short-term or long-term, and they can have evidence that they've been in existence as a short-term rental before or at the time of that moratorium. And that should be fairly easy to prove if that was existing. But that is what is being grandfathered. No further short-term rentals in proximity to those that are in there are going to be allowed. It's not discrimination, but it's it's not a forum for rebuttal. But
I think this is a forum.
Right.
Any other questions, comments? Ms. Rose Arnold?
Rose Arnold, 880 Manitou Road. First, thank you all for the time and effort you put in. It's evident you listened and worked hard on this. It's appreciated. Mainly the things I have tonight are some clarifications on the final draft. In one area, it states that the introductory period is 90 days, the first 90 days. However, it says if you have existing commitments, it has to be within the first 60 days. Am I reading that correctly? And it would be page 3 under the required permit. D and E is what I'm referring to. And it states, to honor such existing commitments, you must apply for a permit within 60 days of the effective date for all future short-term rental commitments. But yet it says it has to be within the first 90 days is the introductory phase. I just want to...
So the introductory phase is really only for the purpose of determining the total number of permits, okay? This 60 days is because as soon as this is effective, all short-term rentals are banned unless they have a permit. And so that's to allow anybody who's got a commitment in the next 60 days to fulfill that commitment
Okay,
while they presumably apply for a license,
okay,
or permit rather.
perfect. Do we know what the fee is gonna be yet? And, because if this does get adopted, you're gonna have people coming down to apply. That was,
That will be decided by the town board.
okay. And then, number 6 on page 5, the land survey requirement, it says to submit a current land survey. Is there something that you're considering current? I mean, I purchased our property a couple years ago. I'm assuming that would be current enough. Are you expecting redates, restamps on surveys? I just don't want anything denied if you come
Right,
with
it probably depends. I mean, if the property, it's probably gonna be up to, the department that's administering this, and, if, I would imagine if it's relatively near in time and it's unchanged, I would imagine that that's gonna
So
be
it's
sufficient.
discretionary, at the discretion of the,
Yeah, I mean, I would think if the property is very different from when it was, obviously you're gonna need a new survey.
right. Okay. The signage, number 18, page 8. In order to maintain residential nature of the neighborhoods, external signage is not permitted. Does this apply to the signage opposing short-term rentals? Because nothing is really near me and my short-term rental, but I have seen signs facing short-term rentals that say, basically, you're not welcome here. Homes, not hotels. And is that gonna be something that's gonna be looked upon? Or does that not matter on the opposing?
That's not covered in this local law.
Indoor, outdoor noise meters. We have exterior security cameras. My main concern is our houses are close together. Am I picking up noise from a neighbor? Am I picking, as Jen mentioned, is it a child playing in a pool next door? Is it boaters on the water? Is it truly ours? I have security cameras that I can look and see. Is it my guests saying, making noise? But some people don't have security cameras. They may need some kind of variance for the the noise meters. I think I have a few more things.
I will say is the release of noise meters, this is part of the site plan review process, is the location, and it's a bit of the discretion with the planning department, but there is a whole industry for noise monitors, for short-term rentals, for exterior monitoring. So to some extent, we're not trusting. I mean, our research has shown that this equipment exists. It can be focused, and it can be appropriate for this type of installation.
I mean, it's good for an owner to know, but they're gonna have to look
And
at
again,
that.
I mean, we tried to make it for a 10-minute duration. I mean, to some extent, if kids are out there playing tag or something like that, I'm hoping that that's not bothering a neighbor enough that this type of a noise complaint is gonna come across. If there's a band or loud music or whatever, that may be something that's, and I understand that may be a bit discretionary, but I mean, nuisance noise is nuisance noise. People playing in the pool, playing in the yard, things like that. I'm hopeful that the neighbors are tolerant of that type of behavior, whether it's a short-term resident or rental, or a resident.
Or an owner, right?
Just to dovetail on that a little bit, I mean, one of the things you said is that you're close proximity, and so you could hear noises. That's really why, because that goes both ways, and to the extent that they've got that requirement in there, I think that strikes the balance a little bit more in favor of the residences that live there. But, as Mr. Weiner said, there's the technology that can be aimed, and maybe somebody, it would be in their own interest to get the security cameras to verify that.
Absolutely,
right.
100% advise people to do that, for sure. So, okay, the rest of the things I will put in writing and get to you. Thank you very much, I appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Christian? I'm sorry, Christina Dell. I didn't see that A there.
Hello, everybody. Christina Smith Dell. I own 31 Schnackle Drive, but I live at 299 Ballard Avenue. I wanted to say to each and every one of you, thank you so much for listening. I've where we started and where we are today, it really means everything to me and my family and my two kids, and we're super grateful. The changes that you made as far as permit, 2-night stay, occupancy requirements, the 500-foot barrier, they're going to be instrumental in allowing us to continue to own property here in Arundecoit and continue hosting visitors to this wonderful town. I just have a few questions, clarifications really, and I'll just kind of read them off and whatever, we can get, I'd appreciate. But when would applications be available, or some of the more specifics, as someone who's really into following the rules and making sure they have all their ducks in a row? I'd love to get any jump. I've already been preemptive in reviewing what you guys have and making sure I'm ready for that. As far as 235-75.52 required permit, I guess my biggest concern in this area is just, I have a permit, and the above wording in that section leaves it really open that some of us could be possibly denied operating. Like my permit is good till 2027. Would this just immediately be voided if this was voted in? Looking at that section, my last reservation I have is for June 2026, quite a bit away. I have my calendar open. This section says that I can honor my current reservations but have to apply for a new permit and pay again within 60 days. But if I get denied, will I have to cancel those already established reservations? If I was for some reason denied, I'd still be on the hook for cancellation fees through Airbnb, Vrbo, other things like that. So any clarification on that would be appreciated. We did buy our home before any of those restrictions, so I know there's quite a few of us in this boat. In regards to the rental contract portion, can you just clarify what constitutes a rental contract? When guests book through Airbnb, it creates a legally binding agreement between the guest and the host, encompassing the terms of the service, the listing description, and the host rules. Your verbiage can be added right in there, but does that constitute a rental contract, or are you guys looking for something separate for each person going through? Grounds for suspension or revocation. Appreciate adding some of those safeguards, but I still think it's pretty vague and has the potential to be abused by vindictive neighbors who unfortunately do complain about kids laughing and other things you wouldn't think, but has happened to me before. And then just a little insight on the noise monitoring. Mine has gone off 3 times since I've had it. 2 have been for hard rain, and the other one has been for mowing the lawn. So just in comparison, I don't know if you're going to be getting those reports or things like that, but I think there has to be like a double verification, as some of the others were saying, like, is it my noise? Is it normal noise? Sorry I went over, but I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, you can see while the attorney answers some of your questions.
You're gonna have me answer the question? I think the intention is that the rental permits that are existing are gonna be superseded by the short-term rental permits. So if you already have a rental permit, really, you're gonna need to comply with the new law when it's effective.
And then I just paid in May, pay again whenever this goes in.
Yes.
Okay.
And then what was your?
So I will just say, as I understand it, the noise monitoring systems all create reports. And the reports are time-stamped, and part of this requirement is, our perception is that this noise is not gonna, if it's hard rain, that's gonna be part of the report, and, that you'll be able to produce when somebody complains, but no one's gonna complain about hard rain. I mean,
Okay, I didn't know if you were intending to have all of the reports like sent and getting false reports as far as, or if it's only if somebody complains,
if
then
someone
it would be up
complains
for.
about noise, you're gonna have a report that's affiliated with your software,
Yes.
affiliated with your noise monitor, and the nature of that report is gonna indicate what happened there.
Okay.
The one thing to comment about the fee. So if this law passes and if the town board adopts fees, my sense is that the fees would really be calibrated to cover the costs to the town for administering the law. So that's why, you'd have to pay again, because now, there's more things, there's software to buy and other things. I may have mentioned this already. If it passes, the resolution adopting this law has a provision that says, clerk, hold this for 30 days because we need to make sure that we're ready to administer the law. Because once the law is filed with the Secretary of State, it becomes effective. So that gives a little bit of leeway. And then within that 30-day period, the application should become available, I would imagine.
Okay.
I don't remember your other questions.
And if this law becomes effective, it is the town's intent to buy software that is specifically geared towards this process. So it's not something that we're inventing, it already exists, it's in many other markets.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the noise monitoring on my side, right? It's connected to my account on Airbnb, so everything's kind of seamless and integrated. So appreciate the clarification.
She had one.
You asked about the contract.
Yes.
Yes.
So, if the contract that you have with the customer, the renter, if our terms can be incorporated in that document so that you have something enforceable, the idea is you want to be able to hold them accountable for following the rules. And so
Yeah.
that's the intention, I would
Well, I
think.
guess that's my kind of question, is that a lot of the booking sites already are all-inclusive, that there's no additional rental contract needed because every protection, liability-wise, rules-wise, parking-wise, it's all-inclusive there. When they book, they agree to absolutely do that. Otherwise, at any time, I can call in and say, these aren't being upheld, they need to get out of here, and Airbnb supports hosts that are strong against things like that.
You got like some weight behind you to enforce that, as long as you can put these terms in there.
Okay, yeah, that was my specific question, because I've already adopted getting that into there and making sure we're in compliance with any future stuff like that, so. All right, I think that is most of, I guess my only, one last thing is anything about the grandfathering in, if there is a denial, it will be devastating for people who have already been operating and have these obligations moving forward. Like I said, we have some already into June of next year, so that we're under obligation for. So anyway, thank you guys again for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. Arnold?
Nick Arnold, 3896 Dewey Avenue, regarding 158 Schnackle. Please excuse me because I'm going to read fast. Good evening, Supervisor and members of the board. My name is Nicholas Arnold. I'm a property owner in Arundecoit, and while I do not reside here full-time, I have invested in this town because I believe in its future. I want to be clear at the outset, the proposed short-term rental law does not merely regulate in several aspects, it violates core rights guaranteed under the United States Constitution, the laws of New York State, and the basic principles of fairness that Arundecoit itself has always stood for. First and foremost, this proposal requires property owners to install continuous noise monitoring devices indoors and outdoors that record decibel levels, send automated alerts, and produce downloadable logs for government review. That's not regulation, that's surveillance. The Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution protects all citizens from unreasonable searches. The New York State Constitution provides the same protection, and in fact, nowhere else in the town are homeowners ordered to place monitoring equipment in their houses and yards for government inspection. What this board is proposing is an invasion of privacy unprecedented in this community. It treats homeowners not as citizens with rights, but as suspects to be monitored in advance. That is offensive to the very idea of liberty. The proposal goes even further. It authorizes town officials to conduct inspections of private property on so-called probable cause, and to suspend permits if owner refuses entry. Let me be blunt. That's unconstitutional. The Fourth Amendment and Article 1, Section 12 of the New York State Constitution both make it clear that entry into a private property for inspection on probable cause, municipal officials cannot simply demand entry on their own say-so, and citizens cannot be punished for asserting their right to refuse. This provision is not just heavy-handed, it's illegal. If adopted, it will almost certainly face a legal challenge, and Arundecoit taxpayers will be forced to foot the bill when the court strikes it down. arbitrary spacing and parking requirements. The proposal also includes arbitrary zone barriers such as the 500-foot spacing rule and the requirement of one off-street parking space per bedroom. If owners can park on the street, why can't STR occupants? These provisions are not about health, safety, or neighborhood preservation, they're about exclusion. I urge you to reconsider the provisions if adopted. They will not stand. They will invite inevitable challenge under the Fourth Amendment to the New York State Constitution and the Fair Housing Act. They will expose this town to costly litigation. They will divide this community and will tarnish Arundequoit's reputation as a fair and welcoming place. Every person here, resident or not, property owner or tenant, neighbor or guest, is entitled to the full protection of Constitution and our laws. Arundequoit cannot regulate its way around that truth. Pass a law that is reasonable, fact-based, and constitutional. Strike the provisions that cross the line. Respect the liberties that make this community, the state, and this nation what they are. Please do the right thing. Vote this garbage law down. One final point I'm speaking on. The supervisor disgracefully sided with the first speaker's garbage take, saying STR owners should not have the same rights as owner-occupants. That's despicable, discriminatory behavior. Next time, stop acting spineless and lead for once.
Thank you. It is my job, just to be clear, to ask questions on both sides of the issue and to state certain issues. So we are a town, and the residents have said this is what we require, and it is our job collectively to make sure that any laws that pass does exactly what you say, fit inside the Constitution of New York State, the laws of Arundequoit, and also the federal law. I hope that's clear. Thanks.
So what, just a couple of comments. So on the noise violation, I mean, the town is not constantly monitoring or surveilling. That's just a requirement. If there's, it's a mechanism to provide proof whether or not there was a violation or not. After, I mean, the town isn't monitoring and saying, oh, there's a violation, I'm gonna go, find that person. It's if they get a call, it's, hey, there was this complaint was made, what can you tell me about it? And if you got the proof that it was rain or whatever it is, then, it's not gonna be a violation.
That's a search. You know that, you're an attorney. That's a search.
Well, I guess
if you guys want to monitor it, you want to know constitutional workaround, I'll do your job for you. Yeah. You install them. Okay, you go to STR or houses and you install them. There's your workaround.
So the other requirement on parking is, I mean, you can seek relief from the zoning board for those other types of requirements.
Right. The mechanism for relief for any part of this is the zoning board of appeals, technically, so.
But you're taking rights away from the STR owners. They have the right to park on the street. If the residents have a right to park on the street, the STR occupants have a right to park on the street.
The short-term rental owners without off-street parking will have to seek a variance from this code.
Will they be approved?
It's up to the
zoning board of appeals.
Exactly,
but that's exactly what I'm saying.
It's just like any non-conforming use. It's like any non-conforming use within non-compliance with zoning ordinance.
It's not non-compliance. You guys are zoned to be able.
Law, it's non-compliant.
But you are allowed to park on the street. As soon as you pass the law, which I'm saying is you're limiting your homeowner's rights.
Well,
I'm looking at you in the eyes. I'd appreciate the same respect. You're an attorney. You understand.
You're not allowed to attack members of the board or.
There's no attack. There's no attack. I'm offering him the respect he's given. It's my right to say what I'm saying, and I'm asking for the same respect. He's staring at his pen, clicking his pen while he's not answering.
It's a paperclip.
Yeah.
What do you want to know?
I said, you know that you are restricting rights with this law. If a homeowner, owner-occupant, could park on the street in the town of Arundequoit, and you are passing a law saying STR owners cannot park on the street, you are limiting the rights of your residents.
Okay, so you have a remedy, which is to go to the zoning board.
You got it, guy.
Any other questions?
Did you ask it?
For 1 sec, sir.
I say you have.
For one second. Yeah. Address all comments to the chair, please. This is very, very difficult. I'll give you an example. We have Backwood Terrace where there's not even enough parking for the own residents. So what we're trying to do is limit the damage to that neighborhood or to a neighborhood. So in trying to limit the damage to a neighborhood, we're trying to find a balance. It's not going to be perfect, but we're just trying to find a balance. So I heard your comments, and then you have some good points. I'm going to take that back and chew on them and look them up and make sure that the residents are being heard. But what one of the
Residents
things
are being heard?
the,
Or, like, homeowners too, SDR owners are being heard as well?
the other portion is that Arundequoit is a bedroom community. It's different than the city or different than New York City. Is that this is a bedroom community. This
Explain that to me, what that is.
residential. So we're very limited multifamily houses. Most of the houses are single family owned, and it was designed that way. So that's the character of Arundequoit. We also have to limit when you look at how we are funded. Think of it, Arundequoit as a system is not just one thing. So approaching short-term rentals, there is considerations. There's law enforcement, DPW. Do we have enough people to monitor? Are we restricting the growth of the community so that we fall underneath something that where we get money for residents, like the Community Development Block Grant, which is based on population. So having more short-term rentals could jeopardize the millions of dollars that we get from the federal government to help our residents out. So it's not just one thing that we're looking at. I'm actually looking at the broad swath of things. And does it fit the New York State Constitution, the federal Constitution, and preserve everyone's rights? Those are the big things. So if I give you a right, not you personally,
I understand.
but right, and it brings us below the Community Development Block Grant, that's millions of dollars that the rest of the residents don't get for a
It's
couple.
understood.
Yeah. So those are the issues. So when I sit here and talk about the system of houses, it's the system that we have to look at, and that's the system that needs to be balanced. Does that make sense?
Supervisor Evans, it makes very clear sense, but I think you're being a little disingenuous with the grant funding. There's 150 houses in this proposed law that would not put you under the limit.
A family of four, that's 400 residents.
Exactly.
Right.
Of how many
Plus.
residents?
Right. So if you
How many residents does Arundequoit have?
right now we're teetering on that number to go below 50,000.
Oh, 50,000?
Yeah.
For 400?
Yeah, we need to be over
0.01%.
Right. So
Come on.
so if you look at how many people that we can bring in, so those are the balances that we have.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we
All right.
understood. I want it fair, constitutionally fair.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Sir?
We're still in the public hearing.
I'm sorry, public hearing, I'm sorry.
Yeah, is there anybody?
We're at the end of the list. So, does anyone else want to address this issue? Okay. Your name and address, sir?
Hi, I'm Ray Arnold, 880 Manitou Road. I just had one question. They talk about neighborhood stability. 21% of your population live in rental units, and you're worried about 50 to 150. Does that make any sense? You're talking about stability.
Yeah, I'm not sure the numbers that you have.
4,600.
Okay.
4,600 rental units in Arundequoit, 21%. And you're worried about 50 to 100 or 150. I guess I don't quite understand. Stability of a community is not in rental units. They tend to be transient. They tend not to stay there forever. So you're talking about the integrity of neighborhoods with long-term rentals, which is not true, versus short-term rentals. I'd rather have a person who's there 2 days who's a jerk, and at least he leaves, than somebody who's there for a year and tears the place up and disrupts the neighborhood.
That's a good point, and I think that your numbers include I think we have 13 or more apartment units.
Rental is a rental is a rental. And also your sound monitoring, you know, if somebody's, our houses are fairly close together. Somebody's got a window shaker in their window and that thing's, and my monitor's right here. It's going to come up to me. And if my neighbor doesn't like me, he says, hey, he was loud last night. You're going to say, show me the report. I'm going to show you the report. It's not going to say, oh, it's the window down there in the bottom right corner, their window shaker. It's going to say the noise was 80 decibels. That's my question on the sound monitoring.
Thank you very much.
Your time, and I appreciate your time you're putting into it. It's a very tough subject, I understand.
Thank you very much. Thanks for understanding. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
She already spoke, didn't she?
Has a first chance.
She already spoke.
She's already okay. In that case,
Are you gonna allow
does anyone? There's no.
I don't agree with us.
One second. There's no second. There's no second chances here. We have to move.
add on to that just really quick.
No, we have to move forward. Okay. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is George Elert. My address is 159 Rock Beach Road.
Can you say your name again, sir?
George Elert, E-H-L-E-R-T. Number one, you have a really multifaceted, complex task ahead of you. Trying to balance the different interests of different interest groups, residents, and so forth. And I fully understand that, appreciate the complexity of that, and you will never please everybody, you know, with any compromise solution that you can come up with. And I'm totally torn, given that the current code doesn't even know the word short-term rental, as far as I recognize. I'm totally torn whether I should feel happy that there is a draft and I should recommend to you to just vote on it and make it effective, particularly given that November 4th is only 7 weeks away. So I could fully understand that you may feel like you want to put something into law to show progress and improvement, which this is. But I think as examples from other municipalities have shown, and I shared some of that with some members of the board, whether it's New York City, which may be an extreme example, could be Ithaca, Village of the Branch, and it doesn't take much Googling time to come up with examples of municipalities that have taken a very different approach to ensure the safety, health, and welfare of the residents. I think there's a lot to be learned for it can be adopted. So I think where I'm coming out, I would recommend to you, vote on the law, put it in action, but immediately form a working group to further refine what you have. Because this is much better than what we have now. The bar isn't very high because we have nothing around short-term rentals, but it's far from being perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we will not have a second round. At this, I think we've heard everyone. Please present any additional comments in writing to the clerk so she can distribute. And may I have a motion to close the public, or any questions, comments from the town board? Seeing none, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Moved.
May I have a second? Second. The hearing is now closed. May I have a motion? Madam Clerk, can you read the resolution?
Resolution number 1. enacting a local law to amend Town Code Chapter 235 regarding short-term rentals. Exhibit A.
May I have a motion?
I'll move it.
May I have a second?
Second.
I think we can forego the explanation at this point. Town Board, you have any questions or comments, or are you ready to vote on this amendment?
I'd just like to say, to George's point, this is a starting point for us. This has been over 2 years. We're trying to get this right. We're not gonna please everybody, but I gotta agree, we gotta start somewhere. I appreciate everybody's input here. I know it impacts a lot of residents here in Arundecoy, not even the people that own the short-term rentals, but the neighbors in the area. So let's keep that in mind. This will be a work in progress moving forward. It can always be revised down the road. Want to make that comment. Thank you for your input and your concern.
You know, this has been a long waiting, you know, and everybody out here, obviously, we've heard from both sides of the aisle. But I think once we have a law, we do have something in writing. George, you made some good points. We talked about this the other night. It is a work in progress, and I believe that there'll probably be some adjustments down the road. But I think we're gonna have to hear about people, what those, we've heard now what the adjustments are. Are those the adjustments that we really wanna do? Are we going to, change something totally different than what's on this, But having a law, in fact, is gonna help. It is better than what we have now. Let's work with it and move forward with it and help out, everyone in the neighborhoods. And you know, this was the start of it, and it was to really get the bad apples out of there. And that's what we're hoping on this one. The ones that don't come, apply for their permits, and we'll have to move forward with some of but I think this is gonna flush out some of the bad apples that are in our neighborhoods to help us out with this. 100 to 150 short-term rentals, someone mentioned it, that's not a lot in the town of Arundecoy. I don't think it is. That's not a big number at all whatsoever.
0.6%.
Considering the size of our town, so, let's get something in there, work with it. If we gotta critique it, change it, well, that'll be good, and I agree too. Let's see how it rolls out, and then we can work from there.
Yeah, I agree. There is such a thing as, you know, the old adage, paralysis by analysis, and I think we need to have a starting point. It's not the end point. This is an evolution, and we're gonna listen and amend as necessary after we get this going.
I agree. This it is as much of a compromise as we've been able to do. We have listened. We've talked to a lot of you. I think it has not been an easy process at all. And I appreciate your grace and the time that you've spent with this. And it is a starting point, and I think Mr. Ehlert's comment is a good one, and where I have been all along, and I think, Mr. Ehlert, I have said that to you, that this is something that it's not done and we're finished with it. It is something that we're going to constantly look at and monitor. This is, we certainly want our residents to feel comfortable, but on both sides. You know, people have their properties, and these are our protections all the way around. We are trying to do the best for both sides. So I think that we need to, like I said, just let's put this into place and then constantly monitor.
Well, one other thing, Nick Arnold, you made some good points. I mean, we're not here to violate anybody's constitutional rights. That is not what we're doing here. It's not our intent. I hope it doesn't get that far, that people think we're violating their constitutional rights. But I believe the zoning board will take a lot into consideration for the parking issue that you talked about. But Believe me, it's not anybody's intent to violate anybody's constitutional rights.
So there's no more comments. May I have a motion to adopt?
Motion. But you already have a motion and a second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. The motion is adopted. Madam Clerk, we have one.
We have two walk-in resolutions. Walk-in number one, authorizing a short-term rental monitoring platform and transfer of funds.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have an explanation?
Yes, I'll answer for IT. This would enter the town into a contract with Deckard Technologies. I had mentioned this a couple times as we've gone through this process to monitor and scour for short-term rentals that exist in the town. This would also help us with the compliance portion of the code that was just adopted.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, the resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk?
Walk-in resolution number two, approving revised permit and fee schedule related to building permits and planning zoning applications within the Department of Community Development. This, if passed, will need to be amended for the date of the 16th instead of the 17th.
With the proposed amendments, may I have a motion to adopt?
I'll move it.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. I'm
Aye.
sorry.
Wait,
Yep.
go ahead. I'm sorry, I felt, you were asking for a wait, I was just like jumping on board with second.
All opposed, the motion is adopted. Madam Clerk?
That would be it for the resolutions.
Okay, this concludes our September 16th regular town board meeting. May I have a motion to adjourn? One second. We do have an attorney-client meeting after this. Madam Commissioner, can you join us in the conference room right after adjournment?
We're gonna go into executive session, right, or no?
This concludes our September 16th town board meeting. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
The meeting is adjourned. Madam Commissioner?